All right, so figured I'd kind of get started back going here with the recap of King of Motos. This is part two right now, just because I don't have enough space on my laptop to do everything at once, and honestly, it'd be way too boring. So this is basically where we left off on the first episode, first part we want to call it. Right now, I'm just running second, I think behind Colton at this point, and basically going across a huge valley crossing. It's extremely boring, and I hate it, and it's not fun because I'm not a desert racer at heart. No offense to the desert racing guys. So anyways, I'm probably going to skip ahead here a little bit and then kind of regroup when there's actually something going on instead of us just following each other's dust, and you can't really see right now very good anyways. So right here I was still kind of mixing it up between Colton and Manny, and the dust kept covering my GPS screen, so I had to keep wiping it off to see where we're going, and I messed up my, I guess elevation plot of how far out I can see on the screen, so I had to stop real quick and adjust it, and we all kind of got hung up, so we're going parallel along a hillside forever and had to cut across a quick valley and up this hill, so it just kind of didn't really lose much time at all. We're trying to figure out where the heck we gotta go. So there's Manny and I both kind of looking down, seeing where we gotta go, figure out what we're doing. And it was just this game of cat and mouse for probably the first half of this whole race. Oh, I guess none of the whole first race. First lap was a bunch of us mixing it up together like this. And at some point, since we keep kind of messing around, some of the other guys catch up to us, like Tristan Hart and all them, and it just turns into like a 4 or 5 rider battle for a large part of this first lap here in a bit when we start getting a little more of the technical stuff. So I think this was, I don't remember what checkpoint this was, but basically they had some physical checkpoints out there where they put a sticker on your bike to make sure you weren't cutting the course and kind of keep track of you. So now we're kind of dropping into a more narrow rocky canyon. A lot of the stuff out here at King of Motos is like this, just super loose, pretty much been clapped out by all the Ultra 4 trucks. So it's pretty much a burnt in line, but you know, it's really silty, a lot of loose rocks, and you know, I see right there, I just drive right through the middle of a bunch of them. They're pretty planted, to be honest, but you know, nothing really super technical yet. It's all really rideable, and just as long as you keep your momentum and stay on top of the rocks and out of trouble, it really isn't that bad. But I think the worst part right now is trying to watch the screen since it's so freaking dusty out there. It's hard to actually see what we're riding through right now and call it as it happens. So anyways, still just kind of making our way through the race. There's nothing really that fantastic. There's a turn here and I thought we had to go straight, but it actually turned out being that the second silver lap we kept going straight up through here, so I shouldn't have gone up here. I messed up on my GPS reading abilities. There's Manny right behind me, and then I think Dustin McCarthy and Tristan have now caught up to us at this point as well. I mean, they really weren't that far behind us, and so really wasn't anything that difficult or anything that was separating any of us at this point in the race. There's me giving Manny a little love bump there. So obviously Colton took the wrong right line there and put another gap on us, but it's so hard to really kind of get away and escape from people out here. So still just kind of pacing off these guys at this point. I'm coming down a rocky downhill. I'm honestly having a hard time recording this for you guys right now, just because I don't find it very exciting at all, to be honest. So hopefully you guys find it a little interesting. There's just a lot of this stuff in the bronze loop and silver loop were just so kind of spread out and not super technical because they want to make it for everyone, but the loop was just so long. A lot of the riders talked after the race and basically said that if we had just kind of shortened up these the first 2 laps, the gold and silver lap, or not the bronze and silver lap, sorry, and then made more of a gold lap, it probably would have been a really perfect race. And there's definitely some technical stuff here in the beginning parts of this race, but just so many long open transfers across valleys and single track trails that just you kind of don't really want to race on. You're just kind of taking your time and getting through it all. So we're cruising along just fine here right now, but at the end of the day, it's just gets so spread out, it turns into almost like a rally style type race where we're pacing off each other and making other people do the hard work. At the beginning of this race, Colton was doing a ton of the leading, and I was just kind of hanging out, spectating it all from the dust. Alright, I had to zoom forward a little bit again just because I couldn't handle some of that stuff. It was boring me. But there's another pretty technical bit here. Nice little rock ledge step there. Through most of this stuff, I'm basically in first and second gear. And for this race, I was running 1350 gearing on my Sherco. Stock comes as I think a 1449. It was just super tall. I could have ran a lot of stuff in first, and I would have gone way faster in the desert, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to go all out in the desert, to be honest. So I had 1350 here, and then when I got home, I did some more riding with the stuff by me in the mountains and some other spots, and everything's just so much steeper and shorter and slicker where I'm at. I actually have now opted for 1352 gearing, and it made second gear a lot more user-friendly for me. So for all the stuff around where I'm living, it's really good. Here, you just have so much traction, and you need actually the taller gearing so you can have a little more speed across the desert. But for the rest of the year, races like Erzberg, Romaniacs, Lagares, stuff like that, for sure I'll be using shorter gearing just because it's a lot more user-friendly and kind of like a trial setup for the hard enduro type stuff. So this little canyon here has been, we've ridden it quite a few times last few years at King of Motos, and it's a couple little ledges, nice ledges and off-cambers through it, and honestly I think it's gotten easier with time just because of the trucks kind of burning in lines for us. So obviously it's still tricky, but not too difficult at the end of the day. So essentially after that last canyon we just came up, cruised around up on top a little bit, kind of like along the ridge, and then dropped down. I guess this canyon would be facing towards Hammertown. So we're kind of making our way back towards base camp. It looks pretty nasty, nice little double drop I did there. So basically second gear through here, just kind of keeping momentum and not trying to overdo it, because obviously you can easily push the front end and go down pretty hard, and these rocks don't feel good when you crash. I may or may not got one of my crashes on video. We'll come across later, so hopefully I got it. But basically right now we're kind of been slowly making our way towards Chocolate Thunder, which is the gas stop, remote gas stop, kind of maybe midway through around the lap, something like that. So it's really not that close, or not that far at all from the pits in Hammertown, but the way they loop us around, we kind of go all over the place. This part right here gets kind of tight and technical, and I actually took a different higher line than Manny that actually worked out better, because it kind of hopped back up onto one of the Ultra 4 courses. So, it's really important to kind of not just follow the guy in front of you. It's really hard not to do. Obviously, we do that a lot here and there when we make GPS mistakes, but now you can see right there that clearly I was looking for different options available, and there was another sketchy highline right there I did. But yeah, it's important not to just follow people a lot of the times, because then you can get yourself easily in trouble. Alright, so now we're super close to basically coming back into Chocolate Thunder. This year we came down Chocolate Thunder, so it's always easier to go down, you got gravity on your side. So just up and over a couple of ridges here, some quick little fresh single track, almost kind of along the ridge, and then we'll pop over the top, and it basically drops you right down into Chocolate Thunder and the view of Hammertown. I don't know what I did there. I must have cross-rutted or something funny on the berm. So we were just kind of in an open valley there for a little bit. It was boring, putting around. So hope you don't mind that I cut the boring bits out. So you can see the big valley out there that's basically pointing right towards Hammertown. You can't really see it that good, but I know it's there. So it's pretty loose, silty downhill. We've gone up and down it before. So this year, honestly, I think it was the easiest that Chocolate Thunder's ever looked. Just it changes every year. Some years you have it where it gets harder somehow from the trucks and stuff going in there, and maybe flash floods. If it flash floods out here, I don't know. I'm assuming it does. Those rocks had to get there in some place, one way or another. But this year it was relatively flat. There used to be a pretty big ledge there, and it's all filled in now. So this is one of the decent spectator viewing spots. You can see everyone on the side right there, because there's a nice, pretty technical climb right here right after this. Don't mind my orange gas can. It's left over from previous days of my life. So right there is Manny pulling up right behind me, trying to find his gas can. Tristan Hart as well. So, and then I don't know if you realized, but Colton was right in front of me, and he actually skipped the gas stop. So I guess he wasn't worried about fuel. Honestly, I figured we all could have made it, but at the end of the day, it's always better to be safe than sorry. Was it torts in the hair? Just because you're the fastest doesn't mean you always win the race. You got to play it smart sometimes. So I honestly really kind of felt like I struggled through here on this first lap. The second lap I rode it a lot cleaner, but I just felt like as soon as I kind of lost momentum, I had a hard time getting it going again, just because it was silty and loose, and everything else so far we had a nice run at it, and here I was in first gear. You can see I'm hung up there right now, riding like a squid, so that's not good. It was kind of weird here because there was this main path to the right, and Colton went that way, and what's his face, and I had this guy flagging me, telling me to go out of it. So Tristan and I actually turned back down and went up the rocks all the way through, and Colton and Manny kind of skipped it. It wasn't really like they definitely cut some time there, but it wasn't. It's just tricky, you're out in the middle of the desert. Who's to judge what is within the course or not? I mean, you have 25 feet to each side, it's about 50 foot, or I think it's 25 feet to each side. So, realistically, they really weren't that far off course at all, and there was an easy road. So it's tricky for sure how to mark stuff like this correctly in the desert. Either you race like Romaniacs or Erzberg, you're stuck in a forest, or Lagares, you're stuck in a slippery canyon. Like there's no way you're getting out of it. It's riven. Whereas here, a lot of it is kind of like no man's land. Mad Max Thunderdome, you have your own right to figure out where you want to go. I stopped real quick right there to wipe off my GPS screen to make sure I was heading the right way. Technical little climb here, but just kind of loose. not really that rocky, pretty burnt in. And I think it's coming up. I actually kind of enjoy this next part of the course right here. Just a rocky, kind of flowy downhill with a bunch of different line choices. You can kind of cut off corners, or I feel like they've had this in years past, and every time I've come through here, I've taken a new line or found a new way through it. Maybe not going all the way around the corners, but going straight through some rocky bits. And it's a good spot, I think, for sure in the race to just have different options. We've never actually come up this spot. It's really not that long, but so obviously when I turned around and Tristan and I turned around, we lost a little bit of the gap on those guys. So now basically at this point, try and hammer down and get back on the rear tire to basically pace off what they're doing. This part, I remember this part right here, the first lap, we were all kind of confused. It was just basically a big sand hill. We dropped in the mouth of this canyon thinking we were going to ride up it, but next thing you know, we popped out, and look at us, everyone's kind of weaving around trying to figure out where the heck they need to go here. And then it's like we don't work together, but we also do work together at the same time and figure out the right way to go. We're all crisscrossing paths on each other right here. It's just pretty funny. And then this is like not fresh sand, but like deep virgin sand, so you're wide open without a good run at it. So you can tell that at this point in the race, we're all 4 of us right now kind of broken out ahead of everyone else, and riding along, pacing off each other essentially. Alright, and looking ahead at the rest of my footage, I peeked ahead for a second. I think it's best that I stop this right now, and I'm gonna make episode 3 right now, so we can hopefully get it all up at almost the same time.